Welcome to Good for Bitcoin, a weekly show recorded live every Friday, where we recap the top events of the week and talk about everything that is good for Bitcoin. If it's built on Bitcoin, then it's good for Bitcoin. Let's get started.
Content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, or company. We encourage you to conduct your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making any financial decisions.
Hey, we can hear you now. All right.
Well, good, man. Yeah, it was just saying it was a good week for me, but it was bad for Bitcoin.
It was a little bad for Bitcoin. I think it's bad depending on where you live in the world right now.
Yeah.
So, we're going to get into that. Shaylee is going to be joining us in a minute here, but I just wanted to first recap some of the product news that we had at Trust Machines this week. A lot of busy stuff happened with Leather. On Wednesday, you actually hosted Leather Lounge and had Jake Yaka from Hermetica on. And that went really well.
It did, man. Yeah, that was our second episode. The first episode the week prior was really just like a celebratory launch with a bunch of OGs in the space. We had 10 guests. So that was a super fun time. And this episode on Wednesday was much more focused, really focusing on DeFi. Jakob has been making the rounds because Hermetica has been doing a lot. They've got a lot coming down the pike, and a lot of it relates to Nakamoto. You know, there's still a lot of us just kind of holding our breath until August now for Nakamoto to fully release here. But there's a lot going on for him, and that day he was like active in multiple spaces. So what we really focused on was like not incredibly super technical. We were talking a little bit about like the strategies and how they get their yield. But for the most part, our conversation was a little bit more zoomed out. We got into his background, like how he got into Bitcoin, and what like he holds, what values he holds in the space, and what he thinks like the greater good is for DeFi built on Bitcoin. So it was a great conversation. That's obviously still available on X, and then we're gonna release the YouTube version Monday.
Awesome. Getting into YouTube. Really excited about that. And I think we're going to be doing that for this show as well, sometime in the future. So, looking forward to being out there on all the platforms.
Yep, that's a +1 in the good for Bitcoin column.
And Shaylee, how's it going? How was your week?
Hey, good. Just a lot going on with the policy environment in the US in crypto. And so that was kind of crazy to see. I feel like, crypto is for everyone. So I just don't like, any political views either way. It's just like, let us be, let us flourish as a community.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I hate that, these times like now when crypto starts to turn into more of a political issue and more of a partisan issue, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, we're gonna get into that a little bit more. I want to talk more specifically about the SAB 21 bulletin and what it kind of means, and and then we can get into what you're doing next week, or where you're attending. So excited to talk about that. But it's also been just a really busy week for us on the partnership side. A lot of announcements. Yesterday, we coordinated with OrdKit to announce that they had integrated Leather, and really excited about that. With the Runes launch, a lot of these tokens that were previously on BRC20 are now looking to migrate over to Runes, and OrdKit basically allows a platform for those creators to do that. So now you can basically connect your Leather wallet if you have any ZBit or PUPS tokens that you're holding onto right now. You'll be able to migrate those over, and there's more that they're collaborating with. Next week, I believe, is the Wizard token from Bitcoin Wizards is migrating, and a lot more. So excited to see all the different tokens that end up migrating over to Runes, and what that just what the effects of that is in terms of migrating over to Runes. Does that make it easier to trade, easier to to hold? And yeah, it's just an interesting dynamic.
Brandon, can you break down how that migration works on a technical level? Sorry to put you on the spot there.
I don't know. I don't know all of the details. Basically, so I hold a little bit of the ZBit from BTC machines. So just looking at the process of what it's like, they essentially provide you with a burn address to send your BRC20 to. And then once they receive that, the BRC20 token that's been burned, then they basically issue you an equivalent amount of Runes tokens. And that's kind of how the process works for the user perspective. But on the back end, I'm sure it's a little bit more complicated than that. But yeah, it's essentially, generating sort of a burn address for you that you're sending your BRC20s to.
Nice.
You mentioned Longstreet. You mentioned Nakamoto. I actually was lucky enough to go to. There was a Bay Area Nakamoto meetup that was in San Francisco on Tuesday, and shout out to Benaya, who's in the Stacks ecosystem, really awesome builder. He kind of put that on, and yeah, it was really cool. There was about like 25, 30 people there. Everybody really excited to learn about Stacks and Stacks Nakamoto. In all levels as well, which was cool. There was even people that were kind of learning about it, some for maybe the first time. So there was not a bunch of experts in the room. It was a really nice range of folks, and yeah, that was really fun.
That's great, man. Yeah, it's all about like getting new people around. Benaya is amazing. I got to meet him and hang a little bit in Miami at the last Bitcoin conference, and he's also one of those people that are making the space great. Love him.
Yeah, I was talking to him after it ended, and I was saying that we need to have him on probably a Leather Lounge soon to talk about that and kind of what he's doing for Bitcoin builders with really educating the next builders in the space, which is an extremely impactful pursuit to do. So it's really amazing to have folks like him that are training that next cohort of Bitcoin builders.
All right, Benaya, let's do it every Wednesday. 1:30.
It's your open invitation.
That's it.
Yeah, and some other news. On the leather side, I think we teased it last week, but we officially announced it, I think, on Monday morning that we have launched STX20 support, which is also very exciting. We are actually the first wallet to do that. So if you want the best STX20 support, Leather is your place to go for that. Have you dabbled with the STX20 stuff at all?
Yes, I remember like really all the phase of life when that happened, because the craze was so intense. So I was traveling in London at the time, and I just remember like every 10 minutes jumping on my phone and trying to get these tokens. I even made like a big mistake, and I was just like smashing like the numbers to. I ended up like overspending in fees one time by accident. So I think like I definitely net lost funds just because of one mistake, but I made some miner incredibly happy by accident.
That's all that matters, right? that's ultimately who wins with all these meme coins is the miners.
It's so true. Yeah, look, hold my beer. I'm gonna go look up how to become a miner.
Yeah, so it is great. I don't have too many. I didn't participate too much, but the hype was there definitely in the beginning of this year when that protocol first launched, and I was like, I'll dip my toe in and test it out, and yeah, it's nice to see them in my wallet now natively, which is very cool.
And before the integration we had to use what, Sat Screener?
Yeah, Sat Screener was one of the main ones, and then just the main like STX20 Explorer was basically like the only Explorer that existed, and then they eventually kind of rolled out more support for, now they have a marketplace, of course, where you can buy and sell them. And there's a lot of other stuff as well. We tweeted out. I'll try to pin it here in a moment. We tweeted out sort of like a resources guide for some of like the main resources if you want to get started on STX20 tokens and some of the just some of the main websites that are out there to interact with.
Nice.
But I'm curious, especially for you, that the STX20 is kind of based on, S ordinals a little bit as well. With this data is actually stored directly on the Stacks blockchain, and I'm curious.
You just dropped out for me. I'm not sure if it's just on my end. Oh, we are hostless, ladies.
Oh no.
Brandon just dropped off. Yeah, I think where Brandon was going was to talk about S ordinals. So we'll see when he gets back.
He's here again.
He's requesting to come on. Let's get him back. Here we go.
There we go. Hey guys, sorry about that. I was going to pin the tweet that I was talking about, and I accidentally switched accounts on accident, and there you go. Kicked myself out. Yeah. Rookie mistake. But anyway, what I was asking is, from your perspective, Stacks NFTs have traditionally been, they've used like these protocols like IPFS and others, and now we have this protocol that allows you to put, Stacks NFTs directly on the Stacks blockchain. And I'm curious, what your kind of thoughts are there as somebody who's, created a lot of Stacks NFTs.
Yeah. Honestly, dude, I love it. I want this like built out right now. I wish I could just keep doing my Stacks NFTs in this way. I think it makes all the sense in the world because for me, it's decentralized enough. I have confidence that it's going to be around, forever. So yeah, I really like it, man. I just don't know who's building out the infrastructure for it.
Yeah, I agree. I hope that we have a little bit more expansion there, especially with SBTC. There's been talk about bridging ordinals to the layer 2, to Stacks. And I'm really, really curious and excited for, some more progress there. Because I agree, we talked about this. You actually talked about this, I think, on the Cointelegraph space that you were on a week or two ago. How it's really, it's really expensive to do some of this stuff on the L1. It's much cheaper to do it on the L2. For that really, really high value stuff, it might make sense, to do it on the L1 on like native, ordinals. But, not everything is necessarily, if you're experimenting or testing stuff out, it might not make sense to do that for every single thing that you want to put out. So to have that ability to do that on the L2, and then potentially bridge it to the L1 in the future is really exciting.
Yeah, I think that brings up like 3 levels of maybe not necessarily compromise, but like this sliding scale of L1, L2 Stacks IPFS, but then L2, S ordinals. And I think like in order of preference, it would be L1 and S ordinals, and then IPFS through Stacks. I really do like the concept of S ordinals. So let's make it happen. I mean, maybe there's someone in the ecosystem. I don't know if Trippin' Monkey can can put his head on this one. Maybe there's someone that the D Grants program can tap. But I love the idea.
Yeah, I hope that we implemented STX20, so we're there, kind of watching from Leather. But yeah, I'd love to see a little bit more progress there, and S ordinals, love to support that in Leather in the future as well. So we'll see what comes out of it. We talked about it at the beginning. It was a bit of a bad news week in Bitcoin this week, and before we talked about that, I want to talk about a couple actually kind of positive things that did happen this week in Bitcoin. The first one was I think we kind of missed this last Friday, but Grayscale actually had inflows for the first time, basically since the ETFs launched. So that's really a positive move, and they've had I think a couple of days consecutive of inflows with the price being the way that it is. That might not have been sustained, but I think that's interesting. So Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust ETF experienced its first day of net positive inflows in 78 days with an impressive $63 million. This marked a significant turnaround after a prolonged period of outflows, which had seen approximately $17.5 billion leave the fund since its launch on January 11th.
So I'm curious why that is, because I know their fee is way higher than any competitor. So is this like an arbitrage situation? I'm not sure why they're having so much inflows.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen, we've seen kind of probably most of us have probably seen the posts about them advertising in like airports and things like that. So, maybe it's just their marketing is finally having a little bit of an effect. I just think it's really the bleeding is the bleeding out of that fund is starting to stop a little bit. The people that wanted to exit that fund probably have already done so. And, either maybe for tax advantage reasons, they moved over to a different fund to save a little bit on fees. And they've also, I think they also did announce that they do plan on decreasing the fee over time. We'll see, the timeline for that. I don't know if they really shared that, but maybe a little bit of bullish news that caused some folks to maybe hold on for a little bit longer and keep their funds there. And then there was some inflows as a result of that.
Nice. All right, another one in the good for Bitcoin column.
Yeah, well, we'll do like two good and like one like kind of bad, I guess, this week. Another really big milestone was Bitcoin's 1 billionth transaction. So the Bitcoin network recently achieved a significant milestone by processing its 1 billionth transaction, marking a momentous occasion in the cryptocurrency's roughly 15-year history. The historic event occurred on block 842,241 May 5th. So that was 5 days ago. And just to run the numbers, I was kind of curious, out of those 1 billion transactions, how many of those were runes related? How many of those were ordinals related? So ran the numbers. There's a bunch of Dune dashboards that are really good for this. Ordinals accounts for about 6.65% of all Bitcoin transactions. So a little over 66 million ordinals related transactions or ordinals inscriptions that are out there. And then runes, interestingly, is about 1/10 of that. So runes is about 6,349,000 and a little over 0.63%. So interesting stats, but obviously billion transactions, it's a big milestone.
Yeah, that's amazing. I would love to see a chart that shows, how the activity of transactions over time. Because honestly, if you think about what ordinals is just over a year old, and that accounts for 6%, that's pretty high.
Yeah, I agree. I was actually, even though runes is less than 1%, I was actually really surprised that it even was that much.
Yeah.
It's only been out for a couple of weeks, and it's 10% of, runes is basically, well, not that it's included in the ordinals, amount, because runes are a different thing, but with ordinals being 66 million, runes being 6 million, that's right, 10%, right, of transactions, that have happened in just a few weeks. So pretty impressive.
Yeah, that is.
So I want to, we can, I guess, title this segment "Bad for Bitcoin." There was some negative news that happened in crypto this week, and really a lot of it, I think, started with all this news about SAB 121, and I can explain it a little bit for those that kind of might not have heard of it before. SAB 21, it's this bulletin that's provided by the SEC to banks that essentially requires banks who custody crypto to also hold an equivalent amount of US dollars on their balance sheets, which effectively makes it like not worth it for banks to do. It effectively kind of bars them from holding it, which is sort of what the SEC wants, right? They don't want banks custodying crypto, but banks want to do it, right? There's a lot of demand for it. Obviously, we see Coinbase raking in tons of fees from being the custodian of all of these ETFs out there. A large majority of them are custodied by Coinbase, so the banks want a piece of that, and this bulletin basically prevents them from doing that. And there was some positive news that happened at the beginning of this week, where the House passed a joint resolution that was aimed at sort of repealing this Staff Accounting Bulletin 121, with the argument that it poses an unnecessary burden on financial institutions and firms that are safeguarding their customers' digital assets. But unfortunately, it looks like even though it passed in the House, the Biden administration kind of voiced that they planned to veto it if it got to their desk.
Damn. Yeah, it's
At the same time that was happening, Trump is saying that he's like, okay, he's fine with crypto. From some, like in the news, I saw, and Ryan Selkis from Masari was like with him, and so unfortunately, as much as we don't want Bitcoin to be and crypto to be politicized, it is being politicized, and it's just sad to see.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Longstreet.
Yeah, I mean, Trump knows how to read a room, and we've seen his position change over time. And it's not like he's a decentralization maxi, He's just a get the crowd to cheer loud maxi. So he knows that there's power. And I'm curious because, it's not like there aren't a lot of single issue voters that are rallying around like an anti crypto platform, but there are a lot of single issue voters who will go out for a pro crypto
Yeah,
platform. So I think,
including one of the big, sorry, I will say, one of the biggest venture capitalist firms that has a lot of vested interest in seeing crypto grow, Andreessen Horowitz,
mhm,
I assume provides funding to, you know, lobbying associations or PACs, super PACs, whatever it is, congressmen that are probably for their business and crypto. So I think like these are the kinds of things that I think behind the scenes are probably already happening right now. And yeah, it's not great because we want everyone on, we want it to be bipartisan. This is like about growth. It's about financial inclusion. It's about ownership of your assets, and that should be important to both to everyone. So it's just sad that they still don't understand after like 10 years of people trying to explain what this is to them. Um,
yeah,
Anyways, I
yeah,
live in DC, so I have been trying to explain it. I personally have gone to
well,
Capitol Hill and tried to explain it to Congress people multiple times. And it's not that, I mean, some people do get it, but yeah, I think it's unfortunately, they just have other bigger topics that they're concerned with, and they pick sides according to their friends.
yeah. I really like Alex Miller's position on this. He was recently talking on the Wolf of Wall Street's show, and yeah, he spent the week in DC, and he said it was pretty grim. And he also just had a general message, like even a plea to the crypto crowd, saying like, you got to come to the table, um, open to have a conversation, and to have a productive conversation, and we can't just like keep shouting the traditional Bitcoin tropes. Um, yeah, got to have a conversation. So yeah, it's not a very positive space for those of us who are interested in the democratization of decentralization.
Yeah. On one hand, I mean, on one hand, it is pretty amazing that, in such a relatively short period of time, we have a, you know, a previous president and a presidential candidate that is, you know, maybe not necessarily supportive, but not supportive of crypto and of Bitcoin. Like the fact that these conversations are, I think, even happening is pretty remarkable. That Bitcoin has grown so much in such a short amount of time. So that's a little bit of a silver lining, I guess. But um, yeah, it's certainly unfortunate that it's becoming a partisan issue.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like this in other parts of the world, but according to Coinbase, 50 million Americans have crypto in their wallets, whether custodial or non custodial. So that's a significant percentage of the population. And people care. Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly a significant enough population to swing votes, one way or the other. That's for sure.
It's also crazy that Coinbase holds 99% of the NFTs. That's not decentralization.
Or ETFs, you mean?
ETFs, thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, their back end wallet, wallet as a service is like powering a bunch of these different, um, you know, institutions, which is why other companies need to get in the game and give them some competition. I think there needs to be diversity and options for the ecosystem, right? We want innovation, we want competition. It's a security risk to have it all in one place.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think I was listening to a podcast and I gosh, I can't remember who or what podcast it was, unfortunately, this week. But they made a really good point, which is property. It essentially boils down to property rights, right? But like Bitcoin is property, crypto is property. It's treated as property by like the IRS, for example, and property rights traditionally have been something that is a very very bipartisan, support in terms of you know being protected and preserved. And yeah, I mean it's something that should be yeah, it should be an issue that everybody cares about. um but Shaylee, I guess we can kind of segue into what you're doing next week. Already mentioned, that you're in DC, but would love to hear a little bit more about uh, yeah, about what you're speaking on next week.
Yeah, so ETH DC is happening and that's important because it's not just Ethereum. It's all the chains are welcome. In fact, there are more non-Ethereum chains in attendance, I would say. Like Say Protocol, we've got Stacks Foundation, and so we've got lots of different Stellar and Holonym, lots of different protocols cross-chain in attendance, but it's the Genesis like builder focused event in DC, which is significant because until now there's been mainly policy related events, but there is a growing group of builders in the community and I'm a part of that group, and we just wanted our own event. We wanted to talk about things like account abstraction, roll-ups, layer twos, token standards, the fun things that we talk about. And um, so we formed a DC DAO for the community of builders and folks outside of policy that are in the area in this geographic region, and it's going to be the Genesis event. I'm doing a fireside chat with Nick Newman of Casa, and they provide a non-custodial wallet in the Bitcoin space, but they also have an inheritance feature in their wallet, which is cool, like service offering. And I'm going to learn more about that when I chat with Nick. I'm going to be on a panel with Desiree Dickerson of Thunder.io. She has a payments related product. And mainly, I think it started in the gaming space, but that's on Lightning Network. So that's exciting. We've got Andre from Stacks Foundation, as well as Rolf. I might be, his last name starts with a V. I don't want to mispronounce it, but he's from Horizon Labs. And I don't know if they're a Bitcoin L2, but I do think it's a Bitcoin adjacent protocol that they've built. I should probably do some more research on that before next week. So yeah, that it's going to be a good one. And then we've got some VCs, and and we're starting with a fireside chat where I'm going to be interviewing Bill Hughes of Consensus on kind of like their history of um, conversations with the SEC and the SEC's views on Ethereum over the years and how they've changed and just to understand kind of like what it means for the rest of us and L2s on Bitcoin, right? Because whatever is happening to Ethereum is going to happen to L2s on Bitcoin if regulators are clamping down. If there's a possibility. The other thing is it's just good to be aware of these things, right? And Consensus, for those of you who don't know, haven't seen, they sued the Securities and Exchange Commission here in the U.S. I think it was last week or the week before that, because they're calling Ethereum a security, and then they've also made some mentions of MetaMask, and I don't know exactly what it is, but it's something that would make it very difficult to offer self-custody to users. And that's not great for, Leather Wallet or other wallets in the self-custody space. Because self-custodial wallets are very different from custodial wallets, and they're very different, and they're kind of like a browser almost, into your and curating your view of digital assets that are public on chain, except for you can take your data with you across self-custodial wallets with your private keys, and then you can, you don't have cookies tracking you. So they're just, I think these nuances are things that regulators don't understand, but we're going to have conversations about these things, and regulators will be in the audience. So it's a chance for us to be with our people, but and develop a friendly relationship with regulators, but it's a builder focused event versus policy focused. So that should be fun.
Wow. When it can be so overwhelming when we hear like the news narratives about all the bad things happening on Bitcoin right now. But like when I hear you talk, Shaylee, about everything that you are doing on a daily basis, the conversations that you're having, these meetups, there are so many people who are so passionate about this. Like there's no way that they and the collective we can really be stopped with the idealism that we're bringing to the space.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think these types of events are so impactful, and this one sounds, I mean, amazing, especially just being right right in the backyard, right in DC, and having some of these folks see that this is like a real industry with a ton of innovation, and for anybody that's trying to suppress that, I think it would be a really just a really insightful thing to be part of. So that's awesome. Do you know, Shaylee, is it going to be like live streamed or anything where we can tune in or?
No, because we couldn't afford live
Yeah.
streaming, but we also the venue, which is really cool, just didn't have the type of technical strength, I think, to do the like the Wi-Fi capabilities to do that. So we are going to have recordings of the panels and post them online.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. So really looking forward to to seeing some of that. And we'll definitely make sure that as much of it gets posted on Trust Machines as possible. So we'll definitely try to amplify that. So yeah, really looking forward to looking forward to that.
Thanks. But the bigger event that happened most recently is Bitcoin Asia. I don't know if you all have been seeing on socials anything about Bitcoin Asia, like, but it seems like it was an amazing event based on what I've seen, and like lots of hype around that.
Yeah, I would agree. I haven't. I don't know if there's been a ton of like big news that's come out of it. Maybe I'm mistaken, and I just have missed missed some things.
I don't think it's big news. I think it's just that the
Yeah,
fact that like developers are excited and ready to like build on Bitcoin. I think that's like it's more developer heavy than like the buy and hodl community heavy, if that makes sense. Which I think was a shock to like some people from what I've seen on Twitter threads or X.
yeah. I mean, I'm definitely feeling the FOMO over here. I saw that that our friend Trevor Tio went to Sam's Taylor, and I was very jealous of that, of him getting the full service over there. For anybody that's seen Sam's Taylor's TikToks. But I think that just about wraps up our show today, or those are the kind of the main topics, at least, that we wanted to discuss. Shaylee Longstreet, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, that's good. You know, it's always a balance of the good and the bad for Bitcoin. Next Wednesday, Shaylee, do you want to talk about who we have lined up for next Wednesday's Leather Lounge?
I actually can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay,
I apologize.
that's fair, because we have a lot of partnerships coming down. So
Yes,
we should be talking with Teleport DAO.
that's right. That's right. Fantastic team. I've met them, and I'm so excited for that episode.
Good. Yeah, so that's every Wednesday. Leather Lounge every Wednesday, 1:30 Eastern. And Monday we should be releasing the YouTube version of our first show. And we'll be releasing every other show on YouTube as well, if that's your preferred method of listening back to things.
Wonderful. Yeah, really looking forward to that. I actually have a personal thing that I'm going to be announcing on Monday as well. So I've been working on. I've been inscribing stuff this week, and yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna announce something on Monday. So yeah, looking forward to that.
That's great. One thing I got really good at last year was inscribing, and one thing that I never got good at was announcing my inscribing. So sometimes Brett will do me a solid, and he'll like put a little Twitter thread out, or X thread. I'm still working on it. X thread about some of the photography or the music that I've done. But I always have like, it never quite reaches the top 5 of my list of things to do. And that is to talk about like the music and the ordinals and the NFTs that I've done. But all right, so you're inscribing. So Monday we'll have some announcements.
Yeah, should be interesting. It's not an art collection. It's something different. But yeah, I'm excited to talk more about it. I didn't want to like, I'm going away this weekend, so I didn't want to like announce it today, because then I figured I would like be getting like people DMing me and I wouldn't be able to respond to anything this weekend. So I'm just gonna wait a couple of days and we'll announce it then. But
right.
Yeah, it should be exciting.
Time to be DMing Brandon all week.
Yeah.
With
well, yeah. So thanks everybody for joining, and yeah, we'll see you next Wednesday for the Leather Lounge, and the following Friday for another Good for Bitcoin. Before we go, I pinned it to the top. Feel free to join us in Club Bitcoin on console. We are going to be planning some giveaways fairly soon, especially some giveaways for leather. So be sure to join us there. I might have some first dibs on some merch potentially. Hint, hint. So yeah, join us there, and we will see you next week. Thank you for listening. We record Good for Bitcoin live every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on X. Please follow us at Trust Machines Co. if you would like to listen and engage with us live. Visit us at trustmachines.co for all the latest Bitcoin news. We'll see you next week.